So you want to learn PLC programming at home? PLC programming at home? That's what we all end up starting at. That's where we all start, learning PLC programming at home most of the time. If we don't start there, we spend a lot of time doing it. But can you really learn to be a PLC programmer at home? That's what we're going to answer today. All right? My name is Paul. I'm with Logics Magazine, and I'm really excited to be here today because this is near and dear to my heart. Because in truthfulness, this is a lot where a lot of us start to learn about programming these days. Back in the old days, you start learning at work only because you didn't have the internet like we do today. When I first started, the internet that we see today was nowhere near what it is back in my day. So learning online was very difficult. But these days, it's a commonplace for people to learn. So the real question is, can you do it successfully? And that's what we're going to answer today. All right. So what does it take? What does it take to be able to learn at home? Well, in my opinion, you need to join an online course. Now, here's my recommendation. Don't join 5 of them. Okay. Do one PLC programming course at a time from start to finish and make sure that you complete it. Generally, in a lot of the programs today, the instructor will give you a completion certificate. You haven't done nothing. You don't know anything until you get that certificate. Okay? Make sure that you complete the course one at a time. Be methodical, go slow, take your time. Think things through. Don't be in a rush because all you're going to do is learn how to do things wrong fast. Very important. We'll talk more about that later on. Okay, what's the second most important thing, right? So you're in the course and hopefully the instructor can point you to where to get the software, right? So let's go back up here. Go slow. Take your time. Think it through. This is real important, all right? I want to back up and make sure that's clear. You don't want to do 5, 6 courses at a time because you're not going to complete any of them, all right? That's why I suggest one at a time. So software. I recommend learning one platform and learning it very, very well because all the other platforms are very, very similar. So if you're learning Allen Bradley, you're really learning Siemens as well. You just got to learn to navigate and format just do a few things differently. But essentially, if you can do Allen Bradley, you can smoothly learn Siemens if you do it in a very methodical process, right? So in this case, learn one platform at a time. Okay, don't try to be a master of 10 platforms. You will fail, okay? You will learn almost nothing about all of them. Learn a lot about one of them. The rest are very similar. Very important. Okay, so what's the third thing you absolutely have to have, right? And there's no shortcut to it. You have to have time, okay? I'll just call this daily daily repetitions, all right? Daily repetition. So imagine this. You're a new student to a martial arts course. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and many other arts for several years, many years, 20 years. And the first day you start at a course, in any kind of training, you had to do repetitions. You learn the technique, and the only way to get good at it is high-level repetitions. You got to do it over and over and over and over. Now, what's the difference between somebody who's really, really good in martial arts and as a senior PLC programmer and somebody who's new? The professional, the black belt, the senior programmer, right, knows the fundamentals really, really well because they've done them 10,000 times. It's in the fundamentals that buys you the time to do the 20 and 30% of a program that's really a little more advanced, a lot more complicated, all right? So if you think about the the complexity, you'll fly through the basics once you've got enough repetition. Okay, how much is enough repetition? All right, how often, how much do I have to study? This is my opinion. You need to study 5 and 6 days a week, every week from now on, or find a different career path. It's simple as that. If you're going to learn at home, it's very, very challenging, very difficult to do it generally by yourself. Especially, let's put this together, especially when trying to learn multiple platforms and you're trying to be in a hurry and you think that I can write this code one time, all of a sudden I know it. It don't work that way, my friends. You gotta get really good at one thing, one platform. You gotta go slow, take your time, think it through, get very, very solid on the basics. And even more important, you need to practice that on a near daily basis. That's your high level repetitions. Now, once we have this foundation, now we're ready to move forward. Now we're ready to be successful at learning at home. And that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about where you're at now and how we can move you forward, because I'm quite certain you're learning at home. And if you are, that's fine. And that's great if you pay attention to the 3 very important points I made a moment ago. But moving forward, let's take where you're at and let's look at that. All right, so you need to do an assessment of yourself, all right? What do you know now? All right, you need to do an assessment of where you're at. You need to write it out. Take a piece of paper and write down all the different things that you know. Up here will be a card, and I recommend you watch this video. It's sort of a test for PLC programmers. The 23 programming algorithms every PLC programmer should know. If you can do that, and of course feel free to add to it. These are just 23, like kind of off the top of my head. But if you can do those, then you'll kind of know where you're at. Now, why are those 23? They're not the only ones. Those are just 23 that I pulled off the top of my head that I think every programmer should know, a new programmer especially. Why those 23? I'll tell you why. Because it's fundamentals, all right? The basics get really, really good. And you give yourself an assessment of where you're at, which is really critical. If you don't know where you're at, you have no idea how much you don't know, how long it's going to take you to get there. So in my opinion, get these 23 algorithms down pat. Use this to build your 70%, right? If you'll watch my other video on the 5 levels of a PLC programmer, then you'll see that there's different levels on why there's different levels and what that means to you. Get really good on the fundamentals. Build a good solid 70% template that you will generally use. You'll write code like this on all your programs moving forward. So it makes it smooth, it makes it easy. You get the basics down pat. Learn these 23 algorithms. Feel free to add to them because you should be adding. There should be like 100 algorithms, truthfully. But just pick 23 of them and use this as your fundamental program. And in time, you will discover that you can do almost 70% of any program anywhere in the world, no matter how complex off the top of your head. It's that 20 to 30% that makes any program complicated, all right? But as a beginner and you're learning at home, get this good, solid fundamental, right? And how do you do that? Give yourself an assessment, okay? That's step 1. All right, step 2, what else do we need if we're going to be successful at learning PLC programming at home? All right, so obviously we just talked about it. You need to be able to build a template. But I'm going to expand on this a little bit. We're going to move this little fellow over here. Template and library of code. Okay, so what I'm going to encourage you, we're going to take this even a little deeper than I had actually originally planned. And that's cool because it's going to benefit you. What we're going to do is we're going to get that template. We're going to have all of our algorithms, all of our line code that we know that we can build. So we can build we know how to put in our faults, our HMI messaging, our screeners, our sequencing, our homing of cylinders if we need, production count, and on lights. We can do all those codes. Got them down pat, right? Now what I want you to do is go on your computer and start building a library of code. Now, what I recommend is you find sections of code that's going to build off your template, okay? Get an example of a simple PID loop, right? Get an example of barcode scanners, get a sample of whatever, right? So you have all these different pieces of code, and what you're going to do is you're going to label it, and you're going to keep that code on there, and you're going to start building your library so that when you start working with the 20 and 30%, you've got some material that you understand. And if you don't, we're going to talk about how to learn that here in a minute. Get that code, and you can essentially, you can refer back to this material as you're building your more advanced, more complete programs, right? So we got our fast 70%. Bam, we got our template. Now we're going to start building a library for the other 20, 30%. In short, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, and we'll come back to this a little bit, but this is very important. Start building that template and start building the library of code. All right, so 3. What do we need for 3? If we're going to be successful at learning PLC programming at home, what do we need, right? Well, we started talking about it just a second ago. Projects, right? So I'd say as a new programmer, there's really 2 types of projects that you need to focus on. And now there's a broad breadth to them, okay? And what we want to talk about is sorting and recipes, okay? So there's tons of different ways you can sort. You can sort for inspection, good, bad. You can sort for tall, small. You can sort for red, green, yellow. You can sort for all kinds of different reasons, right? You can use all kinds of devices to do the sorting. You can use cameras, you can use sensors, you can use limit switches, you can use all kinds of sensors and input devices to sort. And that's really important. It's a large percentage of all automation is just being able to sort stuff with your code. Very important, okay? You can sort fast, you can sort slow. There's just any variable that you have in sorting is look for projects that give you a lot of options, a lot of different variety of ways to sort. Very important, especially for a new person, a new programmer. Okay, the other one is recipes. Recipes can get really tricky and advanced, right? So you have different tanks and different volumes and different temperatures, and we're trying to maintain some of this. We got PID looping, heating, we got cooling. So this is going to give you all of your analog signals and things of that nature. So we're gonna try to maintain a constantly fluctuating system. So any programs that help you learn recipes are extremely valuable. Now, truthfully, I think this is one of the most important parts of this entire video, because what happens is there's just so much on the internet. What do we focus on? What do we think about? How do we do it? So what do? We talked about the 70% program, right? Talked about having that solid. We're talking about building the code library. What are we building the code library based off as new programmers? Programs that help us sort and programs that help us build recipes. Very important, right? Real good. All right. So what's the next item that we need to consider if we're going to be successful learning PLC programming at home? And I'm going to take my notes here and check the sequence here. All right, you're going to need a mentor to ask questions and seek advice. Now, let's open this up a little bit. Make that a little bit bigger if I can. Right? And okay, to ask questions, seek advice. Now, Logix Magazine does have a coaching program. If you look at that card above, and We can walk you through, we can help you put together a blueprint, a roadmap to take you from where you're at to where you want to be, if that's what you need. But one of the most undervalued resources is your course instructor. Ask them, take their advice. Just because the course is over doesn't mean you shouldn't maintain a good working relationship with your instructor. Continually take courses, ask for advice, ask for more homework. Build a good, strong relationship with your instructor, and you'll find one of the most valuable mentors that you'll ever get. They love what they're doing, or they wouldn't do this. It's not like they're getting, they're retiring into Bahamas from doing one little course. It takes a lot of work to put a program together. It takes a lot of experience to have the confidence that you can go out there and help your students. A lot of confidence, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that they're willing to share with you. All you got to do is ask. Take advantage of them. They're brilliant people who have a wealth of experience. They've flown all over the world, many of them. They've worked with really complex programming, cutting edge technology. It would be a huge miss if you didn't take advantage of them. All right. Very important. All right. You should be speaking to your mentor a couple of times every single week, every week, as much as they will let you, within reason. I mean, be intelligent here. Don't waste their time. Right? There's nothing wrong with going on Facebook if they have a social media account and keeping abreast of what they're doing, commenting on their posts, asking questions, congratulating them on their kid's birthday, whatever information. Create a great working relationship with them, a good friendship. If you get a chance, fly out and meet them. I really highly recommend that you don't waste this opportunity. A course isn't just a course. It's a relationship with a high-level professional. Don't blow it. It's going to be important for you. Okay, so fifth one. What are we doing with the fifth one? So the fifth one is repetitions. Hope I'm spelling that right. Okay. All right. I don't know why this always does that, but we'll go down. I'm going to raise that up. Okay. Do it daily. You need to be able to do this daily. And if you cannot do it daily, you're going to suffer when trying to learn PLC programming at home. It's very simple. You have to do it daily. All right, the next, and we'll come back to this, but you need to be able to build a schedule in which will work with your available time to practice daily. And if you don't have a daily schedule, a time and a place to practice, you're not going to be successful learning PLC programming at home. It's just that simple. You have to practice every day, every day, every day. Some level of programming practice every day. Work on your files, work on your designs, work on your programming, work on how to organize your file. There's 1,000 things to do, all right? If today you're challenged and you're like, oh, I'm going to take a break, at least organize your files. At least send out a few emails. Do something that's going to help you, improve you, move you forward in your PLC programming at home experience. This is going to be the most valuable time that you have throughout your entire career. And it's so worth it. All right. All right. So it's scheduling that becomes really the big challenge. Again, make a time and place to work daily. Very important. If you cannot do that, then you're going to find yourself not being successful. There's just those two shortcuts to it. You either do it right, do it daily, or just don't do it, because you're really wasting time if you're not going to commit to it. Well, it's just not like let me change that font sizes. Okay, so in review, all right, you need to find out where you're at. Find an assessment. Do that 23 algorithms, a little test that I put together, a little video. Watch that. Projects. We need to get projects to help us sort and deal with recipes. Right. Template. Get that template again. That 23 algorithms, very important. And start building a library of code that will help us with sorting and recipe programs. Find that mentor, right? It could be just a friend who's wanting to learn at the same time. It doesn't have to be a mentor, but somebody who helps you and works with you. Very important. Daily repetitions and a schedule. Find the time and place to work on this every single day. And you can be successful at learning PLC programming at home. Hey, if this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Ask any questions. I'd be excited to help answer them. All right, until next time, this is Paul with Logix Magazine.